Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're frustrated, and you can tell. I appreciate the spirit of what Ms. Escobar said, but we have to face the facts. This country is encountering the highest number of illegal immigrants on the southwest border in at least 15 years. This is a new crisis, and it's entirely created by the policies of this administration and the Democrats in Congress. Listen to these stats from just 4 days ago. The latest data from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. More than 172,300 encounters with migrants on the southwest border in March. That's a 71% increase over February, and it's up from 103,000 March 2019 and 50,000 in March 2018. This is a problem. That includes a record 19,000, nearly 19,000 unaccompanied children in this humanitarian crisis. You compare that to about 9,000 in March of 2019 and about 5,000 in March of 2018. And what's the Democrats' response to all this? They're presenting legislation to weaken national security, restrict the president's ability to protect the nation, and promote lawsuits against the U.S. government. This is our first markup in 4 months, and it's being used to pass legislation that doesn't do anything to really solve this crisis. The crisis, as we know, and as the customs agents, Border Patrol will say, and they tell us repeatedly, is fueled by the poor policies, like the Remain in Mexico policy. The assurance that nobody's going to be deported for 100 days, and this large-scale amnesty that gives aliens hope that by crossing over here and coming here illegally, they'll gain citizenship. This is common sense, and the people back home know it. They're seeing the pictures play out on television. They're hearing the stories. 2 of our colleagues from Texas told me last night, they were down on the border several days ago. They interviewed 14 to 17-year-olds, these migrants who come across the border. And they asked them if they paid the cartels for that transport, and they said, no, that we didn't pay them. We don't have any money. Well, what did you give them in exchange? They said, we have to work for them when we get to the U.S. They're going to work for the cartels. It's indentured servitude. And we have children that are being trafficked, and we all know it, and we're sitting here deliberating over things that don't solve the problem. And people back home have had enough of it, and they should. We have reasonable legislation. I've got the Asylum Reform and Border Protection Act that's been pending now for a while. It would strengthen the credible fear standard for asylum claims. It would enshrine a system whereby aliens can be removed to a safe third country and apply for asylum, and therefore remove the big incentive they have to come and do this illegally. Look, as I said at the outset, I appreciate the spirit, Ms. Escobar. El Paso, they're ground zero for this problem. But she said a couple of things that struck me. She said, immigrants are entitled to grace and kindness. Yes, they are. That's our point. How better could we show grace and kindness than to protect them from cartels and human traffickers? That's what we're talking about. She said we need to address the root causes and look for true strategic solutions. I wrote that down because we agree. What are the solutions? Here they are, real quick, 5 steps. How to solve a border crisis in 5 steps. Number 1, finish the wall. Deploy the technology to the border. Number 2, fully reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy because, again, the experts tell us that's what they need. The people on the border that are trying to enforce the law say that this is part of the core problem. Number 3, maintain and robustly implement Title 42 authority. Number 4, require negative COVID tests before releasing all these migrants. They're putting these migrants on trains and planes and sending them all around the country without any tests. We should be doing something about that. Number 5, let's send a clear message. Send a message to everybody that they don't need to come to the U.S. illegally. We do appreciate immigrants. We do value them. We should show them dignity and respect, and part of that is adhering to the rule of law. Legal immigration is something that we all embrace and value. This illegal stuff is causing a crisis that is growing exponentially by the hour, and we're all partially responsible for that if we don't act and set this straight. I support the Bishop Amendment. I think we need to do the right thing, fine-tune this as best we can, but again, these aren't real solutions, and everybody here knows it. I yield back.